So with our current trike giveaway going on, I thought it'd only be appropriate if we do a special episode of reacting to crash videos with only trike crashes. I have probably about 12 of them on my computer right now, all of which I've just opened and have not looked at. So this is going to be the first time I'm actually seeing these. We're going to watch them all together and we're going to have some fun. Before we do though, if you have not entered the giveaway yet, there is only a few days left to enter. It ends on the 16th at midnight. Make sure you visit the first link in the description. Check out our new merch. Every $5 spent on the web store gets you one entry to win. Someone's gonna be very happy with their brand new nomadic tandem Paramotor trike. Let's get right into video number 1. This one is a bad landing. Ooh, a tandem. All right, so that wasn't terrible. It looks like maybe he gets a little target fixated and he starts swinging left and misses the runway, almost hits a crowd of people. You know what's going on here? You have to pause it at just the right moment to see, but I'm pretty sure both the tandem and the pilot are flying at the same time. They both have their hands on the toggles. So he's probably teaching a student how to land, and that's why it kind of got out of hand. Also, both people here are not wearing helmets, which also means they're not using comms, so maybe they're able to yell to each other, but not great communication. On to the next video. Paramotor Trike Crash. Everything looked okay until. Okay, so he takes off totally fine. He's flying around, having a great day. Ooh, sketchy touch and go. Seemed like he was going really fast, and the trike was almost wanting to wobble and flip there for a second. All right, he's coming in for a landing. Sets down a little hard and just loses it. Rolls the trike. So this is actually really interesting. His seat post came loose during the flight and it actually rotated in a way that was catching on the ground. I guess the pilot didn't realize this, and on that final landing it just dug into the ground and spun him around. Luckily damage is minimal and he was not harmed. On to the next video. Okay, so this one's technically a quad, but same idea. But he's just flying. He's in a pretty steep oscillation it seems, or maybe he's trying to do that. Little wangle jangle. I've totally seen this video before. This makes no sense at all to me. My only speculation is the sun's pretty high. Maybe it's a little thermic. He's definitely seems new. The way he's oscillating back and forth like this, and maybe he just completely miscorrects the oscillation and pounds it into the ground. This kind of goes back to the last video I made about reasons to choose a trike though, because he slammed into the ground and he seemed somewhat okay, but a quad or a trike like that at least gives you some roll cage or some crumple zone, as some might say. Next video, we got a takeoff. Looks like his buddy is there kind of directing him. He's jumping out of the way. Everything looks pretty good, but he definitely overcorrected there and just buried the right brake. That's not all. He goes for round 2. Let's see, friends are helping him accelerate, which you shouldn't need. And glider is out of control, but he's fully committing on power and in an oscillation and still committing on power. And then obviously crashes. This is the most common mistake I think people make in trike flying. This guy commits on power and has no control of the glider, and you can see that the glider's pitching forward and back and also oscillating side to side. There is no control over the situation, and he does the worst possible thing, which is just holding power and committing the entire time. The trike launch should be in like 3 different phases. The inflation, where you hammer power, get the glider above your head. Then second phase is taxi, where you should pause, go back to about quarter power and just roll and gain control of your wing. Make sure that it's not oscillating, make sure everything is nice and stable. And then the third phase is rolling on power and committing to the takeoff. Most people just go straight to commit the entire launch. And if they don't have good control of their glider, this is exactly what happens. The glider's all over the place, it's in a slight oscillation, and sometimes you get away with it and you come off the ground at the right time. But if you come off the ground at the wrong time and then you swing back, you just slam into the ground like he did. This is from Mr. Drito. All right, skipping ahead, here's the launch. Inflation looks good, checks it with the brakes, still looks good. Taxis, rolls on power to commit. Pretty long takeoff run. looked like he bailed. Okay, here's another attempt. The glider just frontaled. He should have aborted, but somehow he recovered it. And now he's still going for the launch. Getting up to speed. Trike's off the ground.
I think he has it. Those are power lines. That's the house.
Not climbing very well. This guy's sketching me out, man. I think he's sketching everyone out in this situation. Okay, so this is on landing. Not too bad of a landing. Maybe it's a touch and go, but his glider's surging, frontals, wraps up, and he just toppled. Just my first impression of seeing this. What you noticed a lot on all the prior launches was bad pitch control. That first inflation, he caught the surge real nice, but as soon as he gets speed, that glider starts pitching. And you can't allow the glider to do any of that on a trike, or in general on any paramotor launch, but it's almost more important and almost more susceptible, I would say, on a trike for the glider to start oscillating forward and back and left and right. It's almost like if you're towing a trailer, it's like there's this fixed pivot point, and then the glider can kind of get a little squirrely around that pivot point. And that's kind of what was happening on this landing, touch and go, whatever was going on. The glider was just pitching, and eventually it pitched too far, frontaled, and now all the load, the weight that the glider was holding is just completely removed, and then it looked like he flipped the trike. You gotta have good glider control. Next video, we got a drone shot. Nice looking trike. Good inflation, a little off center, and over controls. The glider comes up to the right. Looks like he stuffs the left brake, gets it back, but over controls it, and it picks him up and dumps him to the left. Okay, we actually got a couple crashes in this video, but the first one, this is why controlling your speed is so important, why it's so important to go from a inflation then down to a taxi phase where you lower your speed. At a lower speed, the glider's not gonna be as susceptible to doing those rapid movements where it catches and lifts. The glider can't lift as heavy and pull you off to one side if you're going slow. So that's why I take that taxi phase at a slower speed, get the glider under control, and only hit high speeds when your glider is perfectly in the right zone. And we have another one in this video, another takeoff, looks like pretty heavy winds. Yeah, this was just an inflation into a strong headwind. Looks like he got on the brakes too early and stalled out the glider before it was even above his head. Maybe he was anticipating a super rapid inflation because of the strong headwind, and he just got on the brakes too much. Now we got a tandem coming up super off center in a strong headwind, and it just immediately rolls the trike. That is one of the disadvantages of a trike versus a foot launch, which is high wind takeoffs. Because on a foot launch, you can do a reverse launch where you kite the wing up, you're facing the glider, so you have better control, you're more planted on the ground. But on a trike, you're kind of forced to do a forward inflation. I know some people have done reverse inflations, but not everyone's that cool. So most of the time, you're doing a forward, and in high wind situations, it can get tricky like this. Because if the glider is just off center a little bit too much, that glider has a ton of power in it from the headwind, and it has the power to flip you right off the bat. Let's see, we got another one on a takeoff and a little frontal because the glider overshot. Nicely recovered though. He shut it down, aborted the launch, which is such an important thing to do on a trike. If you make the first mistake of committing too heavy and things start to go crazy, just abort the launch, shut that thing down, and stop before it gets out of hand. This is a perfect example of that. He just didn't have quite enough brake pressure, allowed an asymmetric collapse, and rather than fully committing and trying to recover, he aborts. Good call. All right, we got another tandem going up. Glider comes up pretty quick, and he does the classic mistake. Oh Lord. Yeah, this is the classic mistake of just going straight to full power and full committing the entire launch. The glider came up a little off center, which could have totally been corrected, but he just goes full throttle, does a tip drag, nearly flips, and then that pivot point I was talking about, glider comes back the other way, rips him off the ground. This is why you need to slow things down in that middle taxi phase, and that's so important. I don't know how he pulled this off and flew away. See the next one? Looks like we got a pretty old video, old paramotor, old wing, and just not enough lift and goes straight into probably a soybean field. Yeah, that's pretty brutal. All I've got to say about this one is this was posted 15 years ago. Who knows how long ago it was filmed, but I give people so much credit that were flying like the early day paramotors that were underpowered. The glider technology sucked. Like, I can see why situations like this would happen back in the day where you just don't have enough lift because the gear just kind of sucked back then. All right, next, this one's pretty bad. Tandem Track takeoff, 2 people assisting on launch to get that glider above their head. Glider's off to the left a little bit, comes back right, slight oscillation, but dips left again. He's picking up speed and terrible rollover. It's like the foot peg caught the ground and just flipped that thing over. This is that classic mistake, just getting on full power and it's only a slight oscillation, but that slight oscillation just escalates into a gnarly reinflation where now the glider is almost touching the ground and they absolutely just flip. Hopefully they weren't hurt in that. So those are all the videos I have for this episode. Obviously, all of these are just first impressions. But anyway, I hope this doesn't discourage you from wanting to learn to fly a trike. Obviously, these are all crashes. There's crashes in every type of aircraft and form. And trikes, I think, are actually a bit safer than foot launch for a lot of reasons, which I covered in the last video. Anyway, if you want a sweet trike that has big bush tires that aren't gonna slip in a gopher hole and tumble you across the field, make sure you enter our giveaway before the 16th. Visit the first link in the description. Check out the new merch, like this Find Your Fire I'm wearing today. Every $5 spent gets you 1 entry to win. The 17th, we're doing the drawing at Bad Apples. I hope to see a lot of you guys there. Till the next one, have fun, fly safe, peace.